So tell me what brings you to Thriller.
Well, you mean ThrillerFest?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Gail Lenz and I in 2004 co-founded International Thriller Writers at a mystery conference actually in Toronto called ButcherCon. And at that time we had 80 members. And over the years, this has grown and grown and grown until now we have thousands of members, and ThrillerFest itself has almost 1,000 attendees. Gail and I felt that the thriller was distinct from mysteries, that mysteries were about solving, at least traditionally identified, about solving crimes and more an intellectual activity, whereas thrillers were about emotion and had a different pace. And we just felt that there was an opportunity for the organization, and a lot of very, very generous people such as John Land and Steve Barry and Lee Child and Douglas Preston, and I can't name them all because I like to say when you come to ThrillerFest, there are more stars than are in the heavens, which is what Lee B. Mayer used to say about MGM.
Now, you're the creator of Rambo. Mm-hmm. Which Rambo is your favorite?
Well, I'm Rambo's daddy, right? Mm-hmm. And I enjoy telling the joke. My novel, First Blood, which is the novel in which Rambo appeared and became a novel 10 years later, a film 10 years later called First Blood, was my first book. It's amazing to me to think that this is my 41st year as a published author.
Wow.
That's an eternity in the publishing world. Mm-hmm. And I've seen so many things change as a consequence. And movies and books often are different. It's amazing that the film of First Blood carries a plot that is almost identical to the to the novel, but that is differently interpreted. My novel, 72, Height of the Vietnam War, is an anti-war novel about the effects of the war, whereas by the time it was filmed in 1982, during the Reagan years, it was reinterpreted so that Rambo became a victim more than somebody who's extremely angry. The key to the Rambo character is that he went to war and discovered that he was good at killing. And that's how he survived. I mean, that's what you discover in combat, and that there was no expression post-traumatic stress disorder back then. The phrases were like shell shock or something like that. But basically, Rambo has been destroyed by war. In the film, he's more of a victim. He isn't angry in any way, and in the various films that occurred afterward, and I have to back up and say I love the film.
Oh, good. I was wondering that.
No, it's a great film, and Sylvester is great in it, and Jerry Goldsmith's music, and Ted Kotcheff's direction, and it's all good. Richard Crenna, he's a dream, but it's like apples and oranges. And in fact, on the Blu-ray DVD of First Blood, I have a full-length audio commentary in which I discuss the differences between the book and the film and the whole idea of adaptation and what's involved. Now, what's interesting is when you get to the second film, now the character is different again. If the character in the movie is slightly different from the book, the character in the second film is different from the first character. Now he is jingoistic. Now he's ready to go to town and use his machine gun, and and also the film has become less realistic. The First Blood is a very realistic film. The second one, I call it Rambo of the Apes. It's essentially a jungle movie, and he's got the bow and arrow, and it's lots of fun. Not realistic. And the third one moves farther in that direction even more, and that's Rambo of Arabia. Now, what's interesting about all this is before the fourth film, which is called simply Rambo, Sylvester called me. Every once in a while he calls me, not often, every couple of years. And I mean, it's not like we're close, but there was a collaboration. And he called me and he said, I don't like the second and third films. He said, I think in retrospect that they are far too glorifying of combat and war. And he said, for the fourth film, I want to do it as if Sam Peckinpah had made the film, and make the violence graphic and to show why he is so damaged. And he said, so in an ironic way, I'm going back to your novel. And for the first time in the movies, I'm actually going to do your character as you interpreted him. So in this strange way, we went in a circle, and in the fourth film, we had the character that I'd actually written. So, interesting.
Yeah. Now, what's next for you? Are you working on anything right now? Do you have anything out that you'd like to tell our audience about?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, it's 41 years, and while people mostly remember Rambo, I've had many novels come out. I had a mini-series on NBC called The Brotherhood of the Rose, which was the only mini-series ever to be broadcast after a Super Bowl. So I've had other things in media as well as in novels. Recently, my most recent book is called Murder is a Fine Art, which is set in 1854 London. It took me 2 years to do the research with the goal to convince readers that they were literally in 1854. And I had to smile recently when Entertainment Weekly reviewed the book twice. With glowing praise, because they said, hey, we really do believe we're in 1854 London. And the book is about the first publicized mass murders in English history, the infamous Ratcliffe Highway murders, which paralyzed all of England because of the ability of the 52 newspapers in London to be transmitted through mail coaches all through England within 2 days. This was a speed never possible before, and so the book is about those infamous murders.
Oh, cool.